Next, we're going to welcome Jason Williams from Virginia. He's going to give us his ALD parent perspective.
I am a parent of a child with ALD. I also have ALD myself. I've titled this ALD in Us. I was going to do ALD in Me, but it's not just my journey. It's my family of 4, and really it's everybody in this room. So, first, I'm Jason Williams. I am here with my lovely wife, Araya. I'm going to take you through my journey so far. I'm all very new to this. I'm still very new. And I think I'm providing kind of a unique perspective. First of all, I am an adult man who is identified through newborn screening. I am a parent, and I also am living in a very rural setting. So healthcare for me is kind of a reach. So I'm gonna kind of take you through, how this past year and a half has been for my family and I. I'm 29 years old. I'm a teacher. I've been teaching for about 7 years. I've spent my entire adult life in education. I teach middle school math and engineering. I like all sorts of stuff. I do all sorts of things. My wife and I have been together for 13 years, and we've been married for 7, going on 8. I have a family of 4 back home in Virginia. My wife and I have 2 kids, Walker and Violet. Walker is 4 and Violet is almost 1.5. Araya is a nursing professor. Walker's 4, he loves cars and trucks. Violet's 1, she really likes Miss Rachel and she likes snacks. And then we don't really have many pets, but we have 2 parakeets. So anyway, just to kind of set the scene for you right now, where we live, Southeast Virginia, super small town, no stoplights, right down on the bay. Where we live is mostly wetlands. There's actually a population of crawfish that live in my yard. That's my backyard, all right? So we are sticks, country. There's nothing there. The bald eagles and the herons, they run the place. So, it's rural. My primary care is half-hour away, okay? So when Violet's born in November of 2022, super healthy pregnancy, super easy birth. Everything was going fine. She was strong, she was healthy. Exactly 24 hours into her being in this world, she was taken for her newborn screening at 3 in the morning. So all of you mothers know that when you're trying to rest after giving birth and the nurse comes in and she's like, hey, wake up, I'm gonna check you. Nobody enjoys that, but they took our baby away at 3 in the morning, got her heel pricked for the blood test. And then we went home 36 hours into our stay. So, we were not in the hospital long. So, it is 4 or 5 days after we're discharged, 3 or 4 days after we're discharged from the hospital on November 15th. We get a call from the pediatrician. This is exactly how the pediatrician's office explained it to us. She said, so Violet's newborn screening came back for something called XALD, adrenoleuca something. I don't understand what that is. Anyway, don't Google it. You have to follow up with CHKD. Okay, well, we Googled it because, you need to know what you're up against. That could have gone better. So, after we Google it, we realize, this disease largely affects little boys. Well, we have a little boy. Okay, it affects boys generally. They become symptomatic between the ages of 4 and 8 or so. Oh, okay, Walker's about to turn 4 very soon. So, our anxiety escalates there. So, we travel to CHKD in Norfolk. So we talked to our pediatrician. She was on vacation in Hawaii. We said, hey, we just got notified Violet's newborn screen came back for XALD. What is that? Pediatrician says, I don't know. She does not know. She's a small town pediatrician. In the next town over, she knows as much as we do. So we go to Norfolk. It's a 90-minute drive for us, hour and a half, and we meet with their geneticist. The geneticist explains, Virginia has not been doing newborn screenings very much. It's very new. So we were, I think, one of the, if not the first family found with the newborn screening in Virginia. It had been going on for about 6 months or so. She says there's a very real possibility that this is a false positive. So we're clinging on to the hope. She says we're going to have to do another blood draw for Violet. We say, okay, yes, but what about Walker? She says, we really don't need to check him. We should really wait until we get Violet's results back. Meanwhile, he's 3 years old, so the potential for him becoming symptomatic very soon, if he is positive, is very real. We feel like we need to know now. We decide to test him anyway. We go downstairs, Violet gets her blood drawn. So we leave CHKD, we talk to our pediatrician again. She agrees we don't really need to have Walker tested, but she says, for your peace of mind, you can go ahead, and she puts in an order for us. So it's only 4 days after Violet had her labs drawn that Walker gets his labs drawn. So after that, we are waiting. We're sitting and we're waiting and we're waiting. We do not have much more information. We don't know anything else. We don't know what this means for Violet later in life if she is positive. We don't know if Walker's positive. We don't know what it would mean for him. We also don't know where it came from, whether it's one of us or somebody else. We know nothing. We know very little. It's 21 days, 3 weeks that we are sitting on pins and needles. Finally, the geneticist from CHKD calls and says, Violet is tested positive for XALD. So that has its own emotional toll. She does say that, it doesn't mean but so much for her. We understand that, but we need to have Walker tested, or we need to wait for Walker's results. She says that she's already talked to a neurologist in the event that he comes back positive, so we can start that care right away. Okay, so let's replay this real quick. We're already nervous about XALD in both of our children. We find out that one has XALD, and now we're waiting to find out if the other has XALD, a boy. We wait for another 24 hours. Thank God, Walker's very long-chain fatty acid blood draw results, and it's negative. He's healthy. So some of his fatty acids were high, but it was Christmas time. He's eating a lot of mac and cheese, drinking a lot of eggnog. So, we explained that one away. It's not a big deal. All right, so let's talk about what we know now. So Araya and I understand that girls are typically carriers, and that symptoms can occur, but typically if symptoms do occur, it's later on in life. The geneticist said that we should bring Violet in to talk about her family planning around the time she hits puberty so that she can be informed on her decisions later in life. We know that boys with ALD typically don't survive. That's what we understood. But nothing was provided about men in adulthood with ALD. So at this point, we're thinking that it's not me, right? Because typically any boy with ALD, we think, would have passed away already. We think that it's a death sentence. So I'm probably off the table because I don't have any known family history. I was not sick as a child. Nothing is documented in my medical history. So we're thinking, okay, it's probably Araya. Her mom her back hurts all the time. Her grandmother's back hurts all the time, So we're thinking it might be her and it might not be a big deal. So, we're assuming that she just passed it on to Violet and we got lucky with Walker. So, Araya and I get some genetic tests and we send them away. We get our labs drawn for our blood work. And then, let's see, so we wait. We wait a whole month, and then finally our results post, and hers is clear and mine is not. So up here is my unique ABCD1 gene variation. So we don't know what to do. Araya's thinking worst case scenario that my health is in imminent danger. I don't really know what to think myself because like I haven't had any troubles so far. I don't really understand the whole big picture here. So I'm just kind of in limbo trying to calm her down, ease her concerns. So now we talk about what do we do now. The geneticist does not know where to point me. She doesn't know anything. She's never encountered an adult male with XALD. Araya turns to Facebook. She's looking at support groups. She finds the ALD Alliance page. Miranda points her towards the newborn screening page so we can get some proper support. She gives her all the resources she needs. She sends her to, or points her towards Remember the Girls. All these different resources that we did not previously have, that literally nobody gave us. So thank you for that, because literally wouldn't be here without you. Miranda suggests Dr. Fatimi and Kennedy Krieger. The CHKD geneticist has no idea. She says, well, I've talked to the Children's Hospital of Washington. You could probably go there. They've agreed to see you one time. And, after that, what? What am I supposed to do? What kind of care do I need? Where is this going to go after I go to Washington, D.C. this one time? And the Children's Hospital says, oh, yeah, you have XALD. I don't know. Neither do we. Neither does she. So we have a lot of emotional trauma to take on at this point. Huge emotional toll. Less for me. I'm not a majorly emotional person, but, Araya as a mother and a wife, she is, thinking about all these worst case scenarios for me and our very, very small child. She's trying to carry on at work. I'm trying to carry on at work. Violet, we know that she's, probably most likely in a stable place right now. There's not a lot to worry about until she's much, much older. I'm a giant gray area. We do not know what I'm going to do or, what's coming for me later on. So my own emotional toll, I don't know what to do other than to try to take care of her, right? So as a husband, as a man, your job is to take care of business, to manage, to carry on, to take control and fix things, right? Well, when I am the subject matter, when I'm the problem, I can't fix that, okay? I can't go in and respell my ABCD1 gene to make everything all right. So I don't know what to do. I've always been fine. Now I have to go get an MRI. They have to look at my brain. They have to take a look and inspect my gray matter to see if there's a problem, right? So I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to cope with going from being the fixer to being the root of the issue. And it's probably why a lot of guys don't want to know. So now we have to talk about, what do I do now? Because I have to establish care somewhere. I talked to my primary care. She doesn't know what is happening. She doesn't understand what I'm asking her for. I talked to her, or I sent her a message in my chart and said, I really need an MRI. I need some labs for all these different things. I'm going to see a specialist in Baltimore. I really need you to put these orders in. And she doesn't want to do it because, she hasn't talked to any other caretakers or care providers. She doesn't understand why this is suddenly an urgent need of mine. She says, no, I'm not really doing that. We go over her head to her boss, and he agrees. He said, oh, yeah, okay, I'm going to do that. He's married to our pediatrician, by the way, so, he got more of a full picture. We get in touch with Kennedy Krieger. We get an appointment set with Dr. Fatimi. They're super quick, super thorough, on the spot, get me set up with an appointment, get my orders in. We are good to go. I get my blood work drawn, my cortisol, my ACTH. I get an MRI. The radiologist notes elevated T2 signals. what does that mean? We know that this is a brain disorder, or it can lead to a brain disorder, and now he's noted elevated T2 signals on my MRI. Is that a problem? Do I have developing lesions? Is that going to lead to the development of lesions in my brain? Again, we don't know what that means. So we're sitting ducks, we're waiting, we don't understand the information being provided. We didn't talk to the radiologist, it just showed up in my chart. So I hope I can convey this. I'm not criticizing the people who were, at this point responsible for my care. I'm not criticizing them, but the information is not there. They just don't know. And we were talking at my table just a few minutes ago, the people responsible and the people delivering the news don't know. The people in this room know, the people who are watching on Zoom know, but the people who are delivering the news do not understand. All we can do is wait and see what Dr. Fatimi is going to say when we go and see him in Baltimore. All right, Kennedy Krieger, 4-hour drive from home. We have to find care for our 2 children. Luckily, our parents live close by, so they come and stay with the kids. We go up to Baltimore the night before. We try to make a thing of it. Like, I have to go to the doctor. I have to go on this trip. We might as well try to enjoy ourselves a little bit. So we go to Baltimore. We go to the aquarium, have a kind of a good time the day before. The next day, I go in, I see Dr. Fatimi, I talk to the nurse practitioner, I talk to the genetic counselor, I talk to a social worker, PT comes and gives me a visit if I ever need PT. I talk to the researchers there at Kennedy Krieger and, get me set up with a plan. We talk about all the options that I can go down to provide information and help expand the knowledge base there. Great day. It was super informative, helped really put our minds at ease. I give some blood for some research purposes, and then I'm going to have some physical gait monitoring. I'm going to have all these sensors on every 6 months for the next 5 years that I've engaged in this trial. Do all these different motor control and gait monitoring research things. So up to this point, we've been in emotional turmoil. This is all really crazy. We have been worrying about what's this mean, how's this going to go. So 4 hours at Kennedy Krieger answered all the questions we had, really put us at ease. We had a tangible plan of care. We had hope that we didn't have before. We set some goals for me, to stay healthy, stay mobile, get stronger. And really, it just kind of dumped us into this community that you guys have established here. So everything was fine. First of all, this is not a big deal, but it just kind of builds up my next point. So 4th of July celebration, it's a hot day, it's humid, we're outside all day. The next day I wake up super dizzy, like falling on the floor, dizzy, and I'm gonna throw up. It's terrible. So rush to the ER, they check my labs, my cortisol, my ACTH after we tell them, hey, I have XALD. The labs get shipped off. The doctor explains to me, oh, we can't check your ACTH and cortisol here. That's another 45 minutes away. So I'm fine, but had I not been fine, it was going to be 4 hours before I knew my cortisol labs, right? So if you're in adrenal crisis, 4 hours is a long, long time. Again, fortunately I wasn't, but it just kind of put some things in perspective for us. So I just wanted to talk about this real quick, just kind of my own point here about living in rural America. There are a lot of people out there that do not live in close proximity to hospitals, especially if they don't know necessarily that they might have XALD, which I'm sure that there are, lots of people that don't know that they do have it. God forbid something happens to them, they may not know where to go or have easy access. So I just wanted to point out that, in a city like this, you guys have maybe a 10-minute commute to the hospital. Suburbs, 11 to 12 minutes. out in the country, 17 to 20 minutes or so. It took me 27 minutes to get to the emergency room. It was going to take me 59 minutes to get to a hospital that could accurately process my labs. So, in the spirit of disseminating information and diagnosing people with XALD and continuing the newborn screens, I think it's really important to keep this in mind, that we are going to have a lot of people identified that don't live in proximity to hospitals or care providers that can actually take care of them. For me, it was 30 minutes, and I still wasn't somewhere that could help me. So just food for everybody's thought, as people get diagnosed, and this whole train continues to move. I did wanted to talk about my research this past August. So I am in a couple different clinical trials or research trials with Kennedy Krieger. In the summertime, every 6 months. Not every 6 months. I undergo the testing every 6 months, 6 months at home, and then 6 months later I'm in Baltimore. They ship out a computer, a webcam, some sensors for me to put on my waist and feet so that we can monitor my gait over time. They're looking for changes. And then they can collect data and understand how ALD might affect mobility in adult men. So this past March, a couple of weeks ago, I went to Baltimore and I had my checkup with Dr. Fatimi, and then I did some in-person research. We tested my mobility, the sensation in my feet, walking speed, balance, gross motor, had to check my coordination, checked for word production and memory. It was a lot. It was very thorough, and I'll do that again, in another 6 months. So that brings us here. This is Violet. She has XALD. She is happy, healthy, smart. She's learning to talk. She's learning to climb. I caught her standing on the kitchen table the other day. She's this big. Walker is happy and healthy. He's super smart. Araya's doing absolutely fine. She's doing great things at work, doing great things at home. I just got a clean bill of health from Dr. Fatimi a couple weeks ago. My MRI is clean. My labs are normal right now, and I intend to keep it that way. So we're adjusting to our new normal here. I go to Baltimore every spring. I get an annual MRI. I get annual blood work done. I got back in the gym, and that's going to be me for the rest of my life, I think. Just trying to get stronger and stronger, strengthen my legs, and improving my balance as much as I can. We are saving money for Violet's future because, as we learned, IVF is pricey and thorough and rigorous. And we want to try to help her out with that as much as we can, because one day she may want to have children, and we don't know my outcome, and we don't want her to have a child and be doomed to lose that child. So we're trying to plan ahead. We're trying to spend as much time as we can. We're trying together, really focusing on just, here and now. All right, so just a quick blurb about things I wish doctors in general knew. And I don't mean Kennedy Krieger or any of the doctors in this room. Clearly, you all are the most informed. I mean the ones back home that we all encounter, that we all have to see when the least little thing goes wrong. I have ALD, and I am completely asymptomatic. Clean bill of health, I'm totally fine. But I do exist, and people can't be dismissed just because they're asymptomatic. They need to be monitored just like everybody else. Just like Dr. Fatimi was saying, and others, it is incredibly important for men with, or anybody with XALD, men and boys, to get an MRI every year just to make sure that nothing is progressing or changing. ALD does not mean you will have cerebral ALD. They are not the same. I have ALD, and I do not have cerebral ALD. My daughter does not have cerebral ALD, and there is nothing guaranteeing that it will become cerebral ALD. So we should probably change some of the information out there that ALD will kill little boys. Of course, it can. It is very dangerous and very serious, but it does not mean that that is what your future is going to be. And I think that's what more parents need to hear and understand, is that we are going to check to make sure everything's okay, but it is not a death sentence necessarily. Other doctors, again, I'm assuming that everybody in this room has a full understanding of the implications of misinformation or premature information, but please don't leave room for research on the patient's part. When we Google ALD, it says little boys with ALD tend to perish between the ages of 4 and 8, or whatever it says. That's not good, and it's not necessarily our future. So there needs to be a little bit more improvement in how that news is delivered. If a doctor does not know the information first, they should probably find out instead of leaving the patient to their own resources. So, a couple hopes for me and for all of us here. I intend to continue living a healthy lifestyle. I continue to keep growing stronger. It would be nice to find a house closer to a good hospital. We're kind of far away. For me and everybody here, I hope we can continue gathering data for research. And I said for Kennedy Krieger, but also for anybody else here that's also doing research. We need as much data as we can to paint a clear picture. Sure, we all hope to see the newborn screening implemented in all 50 states. I would love to see enough data collected to deem more ABCD1 genes non-pathogenic. And I would like to see some information improved for adult men who are diagnosed with XALD in adulthood, just so that they have a clear picture of what their options are and what their care will look like moving forward. Big thank you to Miranda for bringing us here. Big thank you to the ALD Alliance and XALD Connect. Big thank you to Dr. Fatini and everybody at Kennedy Krieger. Big thank you to my wife for being my biggest advocate here. Thank you all for listening. It's been a pleasure.
Hello, Jason. Thank you for sharing your story. When your daughter was referred for her positive newborn screening result, did the pediatrician provide you with the XALD parent or provider fact sheets, a one-page summary of what the next steps would be, produced by the Virginia Department of Health follow-up team? These fact sheets are provided to PCPs when critical results are referred and are designated to provide high-level information about the screen and test disorder, as well as targeted resources to find more information.
No. The short answer is absolutely no. I can't tell you how many people we talked to at home who had absolutely no idea what we were talking about, how many doctors that we have seen that have to do a quick Google to understand what it even remotely is. When I went to the ER this past summer, we're pretty confident that that doctor went out in the nurse's station and did a quick search to understand what he was looking at. So no, we were not given that information packet. If it does exist, which I'm sure it does, but we haven't seen it.
Hi, Amy. Thank you so much. This was amazing, and I was angrily texting people about how this needs to stop. I cannot hear more stories about this coming out of newborn screening. So my question is, the model in newborn screening is often that we do rely on the primary care provider to be the provider to families. Do you think it would have been better potentially if it had come actually from the newborn screening program? How would you have maybe faced getting a call from the Department of Health with this news? And who do you think is the best person to give that initial notification?
I believe that anybody who is knowledgeable on the subject at all, honestly, anybody who knows what they're talking about when it comes to this disease or any other rare disease would be incredibly helpful, even if we had just talked to the geneticist from CHKD that we met with, who have a broader knowledge base than our pediatrician or our pediatricians in the ped. Anything beyond, I don't know what this is, would have been much more helpful. Whether that came from the State Department of Health or another specialist somewhere, anything would have been more helpful. So yeah, I think if it did come from the Department of Health, that would have been great, especially if we could get some of our immediate questions answered.
Thank you so much.
Did you ever receive a handout from the Department of Health or your doctor on ALD? Usually the Departments of Health try to create a handout, maybe it didn't make it. Or
We had one sent to us, right? So, okay, yeah, Orion has Yeah, she's a professor of nursing for one of our local colleges, so she's been on top of things.
Thanks, hon. We didn't receive any handouts. The very first piece of paper that we had that was a handout was the packet that we got from the ALD Alliance that Miranda sent us. I really can't emphasize enough how much we didn't know until Miranda found me through Facebook. I was trying to join a Facebook support group, and I sent like a request to join, and she messaged me, and she said, hey, tell me why you're trying to join this group, and I explained to her our story, and she just really did scoop me up from there and gave me all of the information I needed, but it all came from you guys, from here. It did not come from our physicians until we got to Kennedy Krieger. Once we got there, then we did get a lot of handouts. I don't remember if it was the one that you're asking about specifically, but we did get some stuff there, but that wasn't for months after I met Miranda.
We're talking like Violet got her diagnosis in December. I left Kennedy Krieger in February, and there was that 2-month gap that we knew practically nothing. So.